hit paanjay mawawim hakim pangkakwang ba pahana himunat pito nyansa pete pio pa pangkakwa pe hima pa pelakane pio put pio hit enang be pa pangkakwang nakawe pa puma anja pe eke pe.
From the beginning, the story has been told by the elders to the young. The story of the coming of the first people to this earth, the meeting with Masao, the Creator. These are his words. Martin Gashwa Sioma was born in Haute-Villa, nephew of Yukiuma, a religious leader who led a small band of Hopis who were evicted from Oraibi because they wished to follow the traditional way of life. They founded Haute-Villa in 1906. In their new home, the religious exiles have kept the breath and the life of the Hopi prophecy.
Put him to put the outer to the moment. Near always pump him with a hakma masa pass with Pamas Picok Kamoki. They can put him
Masa owns this land over here. We met him in Old Oraibi, and then he gave us permission to live here with him and give us this knowledge to take care of this world for him. So this really belongs to the Great Spirit, Masa. This is the Great Spirit holding the world right here. This is the line that he gave them, the path through here. This is a good life all the way to here. If you follow my footsteps, you will live a long life. Before the white man came, they already knew that someday somebody will come around, a white man that take over their land and claim it. White men split them here. This is the road of the white man through here, all the way to here. The elders said this is a rocky road here. They don't know where this leads to. They said this only leads to the destruction of this world. Then there are some people are still following the footsteps of the Great Spirit through here.
Tom Tarbett of Santa Fe, New Mexico is a longtime student of the Hopi. He is director of the Planting Stick Project and acts as liaison between two very different cultures.
At first they were united all across the entire array of villages in one web, just because they'd all been following the same cosmic song that put them in their places. So the United States couldn't break that unity at first, but eventually they started breaking down until Oraibi itself split.
Roy Stevens, who is from Indonesia, describes himself as a biocosmologist. He is part of the Society of Hopi and Planetary Friends. Their mission is to help the world understand the wisdom of the Hopi.
The Hopi, of course, they were also forewarned about the intrusions by modern civilization, by modern man, and so they, when they came, right away they saw where the danger came from. There was education.
Because they want us to live like a white people. This is what broke everything. The religious, what we believe in, and everything.
1880, they built a boarding school up there in Kings Canyon. 1887,
Around the turn of the century, assimilation of native peoples into the mainstream of American society was the official policy of the United States government.
The two leaders over here in Oloraibi, they fell for it. They got weak and said it was okay for the kids to go to school, but Yukuma and some of other religious leaders were against it.
And the prophets, who realized that the new system they were being offered was not in accord with what Masao had taught them about survival, was in fact leading to doom, were brutally evicted by the faction that naively took the modern world to be a safe bet.
One morning they just now sat down to eat, and they arrived, those people from Keams and some from the Palaka and from the Oraibi.
Generally speaking, it's the law that every American child goes to school. And in certain respects, in certain parts of our history, this was a valuable thing to prevent child abuse.
And they took all the people out from their houses. They dragged them. Took all the men, they tear their shirt off, pull their shirt off, tear them up.
So they knew all the way at the beginning that education was not such a good thing, because the Hopi, their education was definitely superior. But the fact that they didn't have hospitals at the time, because people were really healthy, they were strong. Men used to run 40 miles in one day straight to the fields and back. They were champions. They didn't have jails, they didn't have prisons, they didn't need to rely on all kind of administrative buildings and services and so on. They were self-reliant. That's what the power is. It's not only the power of the Hopi, that should be also the power of every individual.
Throw them around, push them around, pulling their hair, things like that. Even the ladies.
Some of them took out their weapons and other things, and that's when they start to fight back.
And one of the from Tupa, I don't know his English name, but his name is Payestiwa. He came around with his white horse, and he got mad. He said, "What are you people doing? Why are you fighting for? What are you fighting for?" They didn't do anything, just because they don't want to live like a white people. I want this stop. So he went around and whipped all those people with his, how you call that thing? Whip. So that's how he cleared this off. Okay. All right, come on, you go. You better go. Come on, take a step. That's what they were saying to my grandpa. Okay?
The leaders from Oloraibi drew a line that land belongs to Oloraibi. And then whoever wants to follow Yukuma and the leaders, they step over the line. When Yukuma stepped over the line, he went like this, meaning this whole world belongs to the Creator, not to the newcomer. Then they started from there.
And moved over to Hotvilla, about 4 miles, more or less northeast, and in effect took the Oraibi spiritual union into exile.
The ragged band of exiles reached the other side of Third Mesa, where Hotvilla now stands. They had not been permitted to take their belongings with them.
So he stood there and took some of this cornmeal, and he went around like this, make a circle around it. And he went inside of that. And he said, "This is where I'm gonna stay. This is where I'm gonna stay with my daughter, my only daughter." So that's where they settled. They clear off the little places around them where they could stay for a while. And they built a fire. And they sat around each place just like that.
That's where they gathered all the men together, and then they marched them up to Kim's Canyon. It's about 35 miles from here, where the agency is. Then they put them in prison. They asked them to sign some kind of paper, but they refused to sign it. And they told them if they signed the paper, they would give them food, but they still refused to sign the papers. And then after that, they took them to the blacksmith and they chained them together in pairs. That's where they forced them to build the road over in Kim's Canyon. Then when nighttime comes around, they would change it, hook them up, six people together. If one person wants to use the outhouse, all 6 have to go with them.
Their ankles start getting sores on them, blood on them. Still they're going like that. I shed all my tears for him all that years since I was a kid.
Then a woman, it was really hard for them to survive over there during winter days. And they survived by hunting and picking greens.
And so of course again, they went in. The day that they wanted to take us over there, our fathers, they hold us. We're sitting in front of them and they hold us. They don't want us to go, but they fight with us. They took their hands away from her like this. Come on, come on. You have to go. They have to go. They dragged us over there. I went. My father was holding. My Uncle Dan was right here.
They literally kidnapped the children, took them literally, tore them apart, away from the mother's parents' arms, and put them in camps. We call it boarding schools, but actually they were concentration camps for years.
If I remember right, that was David, Lester, my sister Viola, that's one of my oldest sisters, and Helen, Zelma, Lloyd.
And that forced them to adopt, to get tuned into a different mode, of life through education. They were forced, to eat the white man's way, to dress the white man's way, to think the white man's way. They were severely beaten and punished, when they just mentioned one Hopi word.
They used to have long dresses, long sleeves, like this kind of sweater they used to have, and their club. And they have a little red cap on, like a little Red Riding Hood, you might just as well say. And they took already my grandpa down there before they did that to us.
To prison.
Yeah.
California,
Yeah, some of them came back, and then on top of it, they took them back again and took them to Alcatraz.
Now, if you wanted to see the Hopi culture, now you'd have to imagine a pot that was set on the highway and run over by a truck.
These 2 lines right here, these are 2-hearted people that are destroying the land. They're gonna destroy this world. So this one line here, there's a man right here that someday this man will wake up. This is the one line, means that he's a one-hearted.
Now, the Hopi are one of the last living examples who have a culture that installs wisdom in power, that gives the leadership capability or commission from the people to the person with the greatest wisdom to carry it out.
But if this guy wakes up in time, then he would try to bring them back to this Creator's way so that the world will be safe. But if we don't do anything, then the world will be destroyed.
The Hopi nation has never been conquered by an army. They have never signed a treaty with any government. Therefore, they consider themselves sovereign.
The people who were educated, children, see, they create a great gap, and they got accustomed to the comforts and so-called progression. From there, they created today the so-called Hopi Tribal Council, see, which was not only illegally installed, but they also provided the material, the people, for the creation of an agency that served the interest of government and big business. So that is the great dilemma right now in Hopi land.
In 1936, an election was held. Traditional Hopis refused to participate in the white people's electoral process. As a result, the tribal council was established by the votes of a minority of voting Hopis. Today, only 5 of the 12 Hopi villages have chosen to be represented on the tribal council.
His puppet government is a replacement for whatever traditional government would have existed. And it's the rubber stamp, it's the signature on the contracts by which the minerals are taken away.
Because the council or any Indian bureau, it didn't ask any permission from the Hopis that are leaders.
It is ruled by the Secretary of Interior. That's in their constitution. It's in the Tribal Council Constitution that he has the final yay or nay over anything that the Tribal Council government does.
I think it's gonna come out, since we have a few documents, how the government created this council over here. We wanted to abolish the council. Then if we clean this mess over here, get rid of the council, all the other native people will be free too.
In 1882, a reservation was set aside for the Hopi. It included lands that were occupied by members of the Navajo tribe. Centered on coal-rich Black Mesa, this area later became known as the Joint Use Area. Congress divided the Joint Use Area between the two tribes in 1974. Thousands of Navajos caught on the wrong side of the fence were forced by law to move. Some are ignoring the order and refuse to relocate, either from the partitioned land or from the Peabody Coal Company lease area. The coal, strip mined from Black Mesa, is used to fire power plants which, in turn, provide electricity for southwestern cities.
They opened that mine to employ some people up there for jobs for the local people.
We knew that someday that these ignorant, greedy people will start mining this before they go on.
And right now, if you go up to the mining area, they say that what kind of experience do you have? And you gotta have some kind of experience like heavy equipment or some kind of experience on mining to get a job up there.
The government never asked us and then put up this Hopi Tribal Council. So what they're doing is everything is illegal. Moving the Navajo people out and strip mining over here.
People disagree with the mining ever since then because of there's a lot of wrongdoing that the company has been doing to their culture and their religion belief, and also through the contaminating the land, water, the air. The people were talking about it, yeah, because that whole Black Mesa is a sacred ground. There's a lot of areas up on Black Mesas have the herbal medicine that they use to cure sickness and use for the ceremonies, and also like tobaccos for the ceremony. So that's the way the people look at it, is they want the whole Peabody out of Black Mesa.
So so-called prophecy is actually not something mysterious. It's just like common sense. We know what can happen. Like we know that after winter, spring will come.
If we don't follow those instructions, if we get off of that instructions, the world might turn over if we're not purified.
Opai tis kwai tame awintan pam hisat aw piten yakat panuat put nak ovi temel.
It already started. The nature's already telling us the earthquakes, and this winter the flowers has bloomed. That means that we're real close to a purification, so we're already starting purification.
But yet, in the glory of all this technology and might that we have acquired, we remain blind.
Certain things happened in the past that tell us something is happening to the land and life and the people. And the plant life also tell us. Flowers, different type, will tell us also that something is happening and something is coming soon. We came to live in peaceful way upon this continent, or this land and life the Great Spirit gave us. We were not to fight each other. We're not to create and destroy things senselessly. We all have certain religious instructions, but it seems some different religious groups, societies, seem to have forgotten those basic instructions, teachings, and warnings, and are doing something just the opposite, running after more things that are not in line with the law of Great Spirit of law of nature and creating this problem. We are all given instructions to take care of this land and life according to the law of the Great Spirit of law of nature. And that is what I'm doing. And I hope that you leaders, or you who are belonging to some of the society that may be able to help correct these things, better hurry up and look into this and correct them as soon as possible.
We are real in deep trouble right now. And it's time that modern society, governments, people, everyone, right, make a serious beginning in respecting not only nature, but the people who have protected nature, like indigenous people, and redeem, atone. And we cannot say, well, it's not of my concern because somebody did the stealing and the murdering for me so many generations ago. The fact that we are enjoying wealth, this technology and the resources, that doesn't take away that we don't have any more responsibility. I see the return, successful return to the natural order, that means voluntarily, not by force, because nature will force us into that if we don't do it ourselves, is to empower the Aboriginal people, not just only the Native American, but all over the world, Australia, Africa, whatever is left of that wisdom, of that knowledge, that education.
So if we fix this right, then maybe a few people will be saved around this world, not just here in Hopi, but all around the world, that will survive this purification, and we would all meet here in this continent, which we call heaven. Then all the people will come up to Hopi Nation to start a new life and live a long, happy, lasting life. After that, there will be no wars, anything like that. We will live in peace and start a new life again. This is what Martin has told me. So we need to start working for the Creator to survive this world.
Pam haksuk nangwa takapu kas anja posiat nakwa at heci tinak pahat pu pam yek it yan kat kachit nakat yek habi pam pahat pu yek wiwakan ik awe nak pu pahat puati on ka pahat pu hat yep itame pas pan yek ne yep habi itam puati on ita ande ta ya ka pasat pu habi pam yep itame Puatan, people itam pep, ayo nong ake pahat pu itam yuk search kachit nakat pahat pu itam put angayan pahat. Nan pahat pu kahakam haki amam ne pe itam put pahat pu itam son pan yan pahat pu itam navas kachit itam yes pahat.
Pu ihip hitot te awit te
Pang ayan it search kachit nakat pam engam Roma